The old antique shop on Elm Street had been abandoned for years, its faded sign creaking in the wind like a mournful sigh. The windows were boarded up, and the door was locked with a rusty chain, but the smell of decay and rot wafted out, drawing in the curious like moths to a flame. At night, the streetlights cast long shadows that stretched and twisted, as if the very darkness itself was alive and watching. Inside the shop, the air was heavy with dust and the stench of rot. Cobwebs clung to the chandeliers, and the floor creaked beneath the weight of years of neglect. But it was the dolls that seemed to be the focal point of the shop's decay, their blank faces staring out like empty eyes, their porcelain skin cracked and chipped. As I stood outside the shop, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The shadows seemed to be moving of their own accord, like living things. I shivered, despite the warmth of the summer evening, and wondered if I had imagined the whole thing. But as I turned to leave, I saw it, a movement out of the corner of my eye, a flicker of something that didn't belong. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, but as I turned back to the shop, I saw it again, a doll's arm twitching, its hand flexing like a living finger. I felt a chill run down my spine, and I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. But as I reached the door, I hesitated, my hand reaching out to touch the chain. I pushed the thought away, telling myself I was just being paranoid. But as I looked back at the shop, I saw it again, the doll's arm moving, its head tilting to one side like it was watching me. This time, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being summoned, that the doll was beckoning me back inside. I tried to convince myself it was just a prank, that someone had set the dolls up to scare people. But as I watched, the movement became more pronounced, the doll's arm waving back and forth like a metronome. I felt a cold sweat break out on my forehead, and my heart was racing like a jackrabbit. I knew I had to get out of there, but my feet seemed rooted to the spot. The doll's movement was hypnotic, drawing me in like a moth to a flame. I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me, as if the doll was somehow soothing my fears. But as I watched, the movement became more frenzied, the doll's arm waving back and forth like a madman. I felt a scream building in my throat, but it was trapped, unable to escape. I was frozen, unable to move or look away. Suddenly, the movement stopped. The doll's arm froze, its head tilting to one side like it was listening. I felt a sense of anticipation building, like something was about to happen. And then, in an instant, everything changed. The doll's arm began to move again, but this time, it was different. It was slower, more deliberate, like it was savoring the moment. I felt a sense of dread building, like I was watching something that I wasn't meant to see. As I watched, the doll's arm reached out and grasped the chain that held the door shut. The movement was so slow, so deliberate, that I felt like I was watching a nightmare unfold. And then, in a flash of insight, I understood. The doll wasn't moving on its own. It was being controlled, manipulated by some unseen force. And as I looked back at the shop, I saw a figure standing just inside the door, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light.